One of the most dangerous things that you can do on the range is actually messing with your holster, drawing or reholstering. Many of the times that people get shot is when they're reholstering carelessly, so make sure you pay attention.
We'll go through the standard method of getting the gun efficiently from the holster to the target and then safely from the target to the holster. All right, so we're going to start out with doing the draw stroke. And if you think about it, the draw stroke needs to be an efficient movement from the holster to the target, because you really don't know how much time you have from the time that you recognize a threat to the time you need to start delivering shots. And that X amount of time is finite. So you need to utilize that time the best you can, and the only part of that process that actually stops the attacker is going to be shooting. So all of the stuff you have to do before you can start shooting needs to be done so efficiently that you have more time to shoot. So if you want to be fast, you need to be efficient. And the most efficient way to get your gun from here to here is what we're going to work on. So I'm going to do this by the numbers. So we're going to do this one step at a time and make sure each step is correct, because if you screw up one step, the following step isn't going to fit together very well. So we're going to have to do a step, stop, do a step, stop, and make sure that you're doing that right, and then we'll blend it all together. So step one, of course, is accessing the gun. Now I'm cheating today with an open garment. I am a big fan of cheating. So if you're ever in a gunfight, if you have a way to cheat, you want to cheat. So open garment makes it very easy. Basically, you just take this hand or your dominant hand and you sweep that out of the way like this. So you're taking this and dragging it across your rib cage and just giving it a nice pop. And in a perfect world, it will fly up and get out of the way long enough for you to get a grip on your gun. Now notice this hand. It comes and plants here. Some people prefer planting right on the solar plexus area at this angle. That's my preferred technique. Some people like it here, some people like it here, some people like it here. Doesn't really matter. Figure out what works best for you, but this seems to be a pretty good technique for most people. So basically that first step is going to be like this. So this hand comes up, this hand comes back. Notice this thumb. It retains that garment back so that it can't get back in the way and impede access to the grip of the gun. So after this is up, now we're going to drive down on the gun like this. So you want to get high and tight here. That webbing between your thumb and forefinger should get pressure on the beaver tail of the gun here. Remember, this is the grip you're stuck with later. So it's very important that you develop that grip correctly in the holster before it ever comes out. A bad grip here equals a bad grip here, and if you have a bad grip here, you probably won't shoot very well. So we want to get high and tight here. Notice this thumb is high. Before I wrap my fingers around, I'm going to still keep that thumb up. Then I'll show you why. So this hand's still planted here. This hand is tightly gripped on the gun here. Now we're going to pull this up straight like this. That thumb indexes into your rib cage. Now that becomes your anchor point or your pivot point. So when we come up, driving that thumb into the rib cage, then we just drop the elbow down. Since the thumb's up, it cants the gun away from your body. With the gun canted away from your body, it can actually operate. If it's not canted away from your body, the slide would actually drag on your torso or on your garment or whatever, and you'll get one shot, and then the gun will malfunction, and now you've got a gun that doesn't work anymore until you fix it. So with the thumb up, this can become a shooting position if needed. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do is take this hand that we planted here on the sternum and slide it over. We want to slide that right under the trigger guard so that this knuckle folds right there is directly underneath the trigger guard. So from this position, the next step is going to be to take this hand and slide it under the trigger guard. So you want to index that knuckle, your primary knuckle there, right under the trigger guard so that when the gun comes forward, that hand folds like a book. And when it folds down on the gun, and now you have a proper grip on the gun. So as you drive the gun forward, it builds the two-handed grip, but you want to resist with this hand while you're driving it with this hand. So this hand's actually pulling back while this hand's driving the gun forward. That way you have basically a shock absorber effect instead of a floppy noodle effect. So we want to get that thing out there so that it controls the gun as you drive it out. Now, some people come from here and they swing it in. This is what we call bowling. If you think about this, when do I actually have a two-handed grip? Not until the final destination. You're not really going to get a good grip at that point. But if you slide this over, I actually have a two-handed grip about here. And I can build that grip as I come out. Now, what is the most direct route between 2 points?
Straight line.
A straight line. So logic would say from here to here should be a perfectly straight line, right? That would be the most efficient way to get from here to here. In general, that's true, but you can cheat. And if you swoop that up just a little arc, now I get my sights started here, and I can actually start placing my sights on target before I'm finished with my complete extension. So if I swoop that up just a little bit and start getting a good hard focus on that front sight and place it where I want, now I can take the slack out of my trigger because my sights are on target. So if I come up here, I take the slack out of my trigger, I can actually finish that draw stroke and break the trigger at the end of the extension. So that's the most efficient way, really, to get on target. Now remember, when you come out here and you break that shot, and then you're done shooting and you come off, your finger should automatically come back up on the frame again, and it should be a very automatic movement, finger up, finger on, finger up, finger on. So do not forget to get your finger back off the trigger before you retract back off target. Otherwise, you could end up coming back to the holster with the finger on the trigger, which would be bad. Very bad.
You're gonna get to use your tourniquet.
So we're gonna do this step by step. So it's gonna be access, which basically just means get your garment out of the way. With the closed garments, some people use a two-handed lift. Some people do a one-handed lift to get on there. Now, if you do the one-handed lift, make sure you over-exaggerate it to make sure that you don't get tangled up in the butt of your gun back here. Because if you end up tucking that in and then try to grab it, you're gonna have problems. So over-exaggerate that, maybe even lift it up a little bit with your dominant hand so you can drive back down on it as soon as that garment's off. So I'm gonna go back behind you here and I'm gonna have you do this step by step. We're gonna start with, I'm just gonna start with grip. That's gonna include getting the garment out of the way and getting a grip on the gun. So we'll stop at that point. I want that thumb up when you grip the gun. All right. Remember I said this, if you're lifting your garment up, you're gonna want to pull it and put that hand here. So that way it's where you need it to do this next step.
Right.
So it's gonna end up on your, sternum. Yes, pretty close.
Yeah, we just.
Because you're gonna have to let go of your shirt to get a two-handed grip.
Right.
All right, so go ahead and cover up. Hands relaxed to your sides, looking all natural. And grip. This hand should be on the gun.
Oh, you want me to go ahead and do that?
Go ahead and get your hand on the gun. Grip. There we go. So that should be around. Yep. Thumb up. Go ahead. Grip. It looks pretty good. You can go ahead and get that pinky tucked in so you got a proper grip on the gun. All right, now pull. So straight up. That thumb should be tucked into your rib cage still, right there. Now rotate. Just drop the elbow behind that pivot point. There you go. You don't have to rock your shoulders back to do that because that's going to start getting your balance off. So now the butt of the gun should be tucked into your rib cage. That looks pretty good. You roll it in a little bit like that. That way, if you imagine that slide moving, it'll still move without getting caught up with anything. All right, so now we're going to join. So that other hand needs to come down under. See, you were pretty high. Now you're actually going down. That's probably not the most efficient, but it comes with time. So go ahead and get that other hand tucked under there. This knuckle should be right under the trigger guard. Yep. Now start to come forward very slowly here. So that should fold in. So let that fold in and build a two-handed grip. There you go. And then just drive it out. Now you should have been able to see your sights about here and then finish driving out. Now when you evolve to the red dot, you will notice that if you look at a red dot from this distance as opposed to this distance, you nearly always find your dot. If you start fishing for your red dot while it's all the way out at full extension, sometimes you have to fish around a little bit. But if you find it up here and then push it out, you won't lose it. So that's another big advantage of getting high early and then driving out. So a lot of people try to get this, as they rotate and come forward, they actually bring it to center, right under your dominant eye, so close to center, and then come out like that. That way it's a very direct route instead of coming in from the side. All right, so they'll go ahead and get your fingers off the trigger. Let's do exactly the same steps, but reverse. So start to retract, come back. As your body splits your hands, let your non-dominant hand slip off of the gun. So go ahead and retract it back under your armpit. And now rotate. Now, notice you can't get to your holster now. So you're going to need to lift your garment up a little bit, but do not sweep your hand while you do it. That's a big factor. Do not get your hand in front of your muzzle while you're doing that.
Okay.
Now, it is okay to look down and insert your gun into your holster. So just gently insert it in. Now, keep a grip on the gun the whole time you're going into your holster. A lot of people do this and they'll get about here and then they just do one of these. That is really bad.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever seen the screws come loose on some of these holsters and you do that, what's going to happen? You're going to throw your gun down on the ground. So you want to keep control of the gun, make sure it's secured in the holster before you let go of it. All right, so remember on this first step, this is the beginning of a very quick process. So we need to do it quickly. So you imagine you're a wound up spring, ready to spring. And when I say grip, you need to bounce to that point where you're snapping onto the gun.
Okay.
So with this, I mean, I'm going to be as quick as I can because that starts the whole movement of the momentum of getting that gun on target from here on out. So pop to the gun. All right, shooters ready, grip.
Yeah. I started to draw.
Thumb up, yep. Pull, rotate, join, extend. Your fingers should already be on the trigger at this point. So once you see your sights adhere, you can take the slack out of your trigger, and then as you fine tune those sights, you can go ahead and let it break. We don't let people touch their trigger unless they're confident that their sights are on target. Well, when you can see both sights and they're somewhere on the paper, they're on target. Yep. It may not be a perfect shot, but it's safe to take your slack out of the trigger. Now you can go ahead and drive out, fine tune the sights, and let her rip. All right, finger off the trigger, and then do a perfect reversal of those steps. Retract back, let your body break your hands apart. As you pull your elbows back farther, now you're gonna have to pull your shirt up a little bit to get access to your holster. If you can see your holster, go ahead and gently insert it in. Now some of the purists out there will say, don't be looking down at your holster when you're reholstering because by George, there might be something real important going on out here that you need to be watching. Think about this. Why are we reholstering our gun? If there's something really important going on out here, you should not.
The threat should be taken care of.
You should not be reholstering your gun.
Yeah.
So how stupid would it be to win a gunfight and then go back and shoot yourself in the leg because you had a sloppy reholstering process? We will not call that a win.
No.
All right, so now we're going to kind of start blending things together a little bit. We're going to skip one of the steps. Whenever I say grip, pull, rotate, we're just going to go grip, pull, and as you come up, go ahead and let that gun come up like this. So instead of stopping here, let's just come up to this position. That's a little smoother, and we don't want to get into that herky-jerky movement. So we're just going to start blending things together a little bit, and I'm going to give you the commands a little quicker. All right, shooters ready? Grip, pull, join, extend, fire. As long as you can visually confirm that your sights are somewhere on the target, it's okay to take your slack out.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is we're trying to interleave these steps enough that you can be more efficient.
Right.
So it's all about speed. You just don't want to put too much pressure on the trigger. All right, let your body split your hands, pull your garment up enough to get access, and rotate and insert. Gently, always slow and gentle into the holster. When you start poking into the holster, you have a high risk of having an AD. So we want to make sure that we're always very reluctant going back in. All right, one more time, double speed. Shooters ready. Grip, pull, rotate, join, extend, press. All right, so once again, reholstering is always a reluctant process. It's always a very slow process because assuming that you did what you need to do out here, you definitely don't want to put yourself in jeopardy just trying to put your gun away. That would be the dumbest thing you could ever do. So whenever you come back to that holster, you should be able to very intimately feel how it clicks into that point of retention. So at that point, you can let go, but you want to keep good control of the gun all the way in. And if you've come back here and it's not quite right and something's a little resistant, stop. Don't force it. Come back out here, get your gun in a safe direction, sweep whatever garment may be in the way, and then come back and gently try again. Now, what I've seen in the past, years ago, we had a guy that he had one of the nylon gun bucket type holsters that has the little metal clip on it. Mm-hmm. And as he would come back and holster, he would bump it just a little bit. And of course, it starts crawling back, and we'd have him pull it back over to the side. Well, he got it back too far one time and I didn't move it fast enough. And he comes back here and he starts fishing around, poking for it. He could not see it. And he got tangled up in it and touched off the trigger. Well, one of those nylon holsters is not bulletproof. So the bullet went through the holster and went into his buttocks. And he was not even sure that he had been shot yet, but he knew something wasn't right. So as we start to have the discussion, I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Well, I'm not sure, but I think I may have shot myself." And so as we're looking, of course, the blood starts to come out here, but the holster is over the top of the bullet hole. So you don't see the blood. So finally we flip the holster out of the way and we see a little bit of a blood start there. And he reaches down here and he feels a lump right here on the inside of his thigh. So it had gone into his butt and around, and as soon as he noticed that he had indeed shot himself, he fainted. So now we're catching this guy and getting him set up on a chair and packing him up to go to the hospital. Of course, his last question as he came back to on the way out, "Did I pass?" So, "Afraid not, buddy." So you're going to have to try this again, but next time go get a better holster.
I'm guessing if you...
But since then, we've become more educated about what to watch for so that we don't set people up for failure because they don't know. I mean, a good quality belt, a good quality holster is another great investment. I'm not going to name any names, but the nylon gun bucket type holsters are not ideal. They have a lot of problems. Holstering is something that a lot of people are not real familiar with because most ranges do not allow it. So their practice routine does not involve a lot of drawing from the holster and presenting to the target and reholstering. So it's a very important part of the process to become a good, responsible concealed carrier.